Hey everyone, my name is Brian. Today I'm going to talk about why doing a coding bootcamp in 2023 is the best investment you'll ever make in your life. And this is not the conclusion that you're probably looking for because I'm not a software engineer. Coding bootcamp did not turn me into a software engineer, didn't get me a software engineering job. In fact, most of the people that I know around me that have done coding bootcamps didn't become Microsoft, Fang, Facebook, brilliant software engineers that suddenly panned out and got six-figure income. It's really hard now to become an engineering person, to become a software engineer through coding bootcamp. I actually think the opposite is why coding bootcamps are the best investment ever because it will solidify why you won't be a software engineer. There's not many jobs out there that you can literally pay for an experience that somewhat mimics what you're about to do. You can't take a investment banking bootcamp, pay 5 to 10 grand for it to act like an investment banking analyst for a summer and have people send you PowerPoints to fix up. You can't be a doctor boot camp and go into the doctor's room and pretend like you're doing surgery or even do surgery yourself. There's not a teacher boot camp. Perhaps there might be teacher assistants, but you can't just do it solely because you have money. You have to get credentials and be a part of some kind of program that you apply to. Coding bootcamp is maybe the only legitimate profession that you can gain actual exposure, some level of exposure into what you might actually do, at least on the front end, with just paying money. And I think a lot of people in this generation go through this regret phase. I've heard this phrase a lot of times from professionals currently in a wide variety of fields. I should have just been a software engineer. I see software engineers around me work very minimal hours and make countless dollars, and they have very steady income indefinitely. Number one, I don't think that's true. I've had a lot of engineers around me who are brilliant, very hardworking. A lot of them work quite late nights. They do on call. There are some companies that do allow their engineers to cruise, but a lot of them recently laid off 30, 40, 50% of their workforce. The engineers that actually do really well aren't slacking off. They're constantly studying. They're keeping up to date with the latest languages. They're looking to become the best engineers of their field. And a lot of them did it starting college, starting high school, and it's a lot harder for you to beat that gap. I know a lot of engineers on the flip side who have been laid off, and it's very hard for them to find jobs because they're competing with other engineers that's also been laid off. Our generation, I'm 25. My group of kids, there's a bunch of engineers who frankly aren't that good. And they are fighting with other aren't that good and other really good people for the same amount of roles. I think this recent layoff has taught tech companies that it's important to not overhire and rely on the fact that one 10x engineer can do 10 times the work 1x engineers can do. So they might as well pay that guy a bit more rather than hire 10 more. That's all to say, I think it's important to knock out things that you think you can do, but in reality, you can't do. And every dollar spent towards knocking that off your list is so valuable. There is really not much in the world where you can pay to recognize that this is not it without giving years of your time or going into a rabbit hole without actually getting real world exposure. I don't know how many people I've talked to in the real world that have tried to break into investment banking by getting on countless networking calls, going to Wall Street prep and paying thousands of dollars to prep for these things, when in reality, none of that is achievable unless you go to a target school, have connections, or have done both. Coding will tell you off the bat if you can do it, yes or no. Speaking from my experience, I'm actually somewhat good at coding. Brag alert. I've done it since a very young age. I studied it during college. I knew that I was good at it. During Coding Bootcamp, I was by far the highest achiever in the class, finished things really quickly, got things when people couldn't get it. But really early on, I realized I didn't want to do this for a living. One, because I was good at it, but not phenomenal at it. I knew the world was coming where there will only be the phenomenal ones and then the ones that people outsource or AI replaces it. Quick note here, I know friends who are great at coding that still rely on ChatGPT to get their coding blocks. So imagine how much more it's going to be replaced later. So number one, I knew early on it wasn't for me. Number two, there's other skill sets, other strengths that I have that I can amplify and focus the time that I would be spending on coding and maybe even half the time and then get far greater results. For example, I'm better at talking. I'm better at creating content or creating new ideas. If I replaced the amount of hours I spent on Coding Bootcamp on making TikTok, I could have been more successful now. I could have been more successful if I invested that time into growing my NFT Twitter instead of the countless hours I made making a stupid website using CSS and HTML. I recognize this now. And the thousands of dollars that I invested into Coding Bootcamp has made me realize this, and I wouldn't have. I would have always had this, what if? I could have been a great software engineer if I just studied a little bit more during college. No, There's a reason why I didn't do it in college, because I didn't have the grit enough to get it done. There's a reason why I quit. There's a reason why I didn't get the double major. It's because it's not something that I was fascinated by. All the engineers around me that are great at this can't let go of this solving a problem thing, figuring things out, learning new languages, getting new packages, modules, entirely new ecosystems and frameworks. That's just how they're built. I want to give a shout out to the people that I currently work with. They really don't let go until they figure it out. I let go. And I'm pretty sure when you take a coding bootcamp, it will hit you in the head. This is not for me, and there's no way I'm going to grind this out just to get a six-figure salary. On this note, there's plenty of other jobs that hit six-figure salaries, and there's plenty of other jobs that you can somewhat cruise and make similar amounts of money that requires that much effort. I would almost recommend going into consulting, banking, wealth management, the finance route that doesn't require a certain type of brain, a certain type of grit to make just as much, if not more money, perhaps for a lot more time, but that is in trade-off or the talents that you're born with, the grit that you're allowing yourself to have, and the hours that you frankly didn't study during college or took the right path. You just got to move on. Again, I'm emphasizing the point that coding bootcamps are a phenomenal way of ensuring and investing into the reality that this is not for you. There's not many paths that allow you to do that. And now that you've invested the thousands of dollars, you have now a buy-in, a mental, psychological, fiscal buy-in towards the fact that this is not for you. And I think that is the essence of coding bootcamp that people don't rely on. So if right now you in your mind are thinking, maybe I could have been a software engineer. Why can't I just cruise at Meta and just tinker around and code for 30 minutes and go home and work from home indefinitely and make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000? Go do coding bootcamp. I really think it's worth it, and it will teach you that you probably most likely can't do it. The alternative is you do it and you realize you are actually a genius. You're Mark Zuckerberg of your time that has been a diamond in the rough. Then you use that coding bootcamp as a baseline for learning on your own. And then you can go indefinitely make your own projects, use that to apply to bigger companies. A lot of these tech companies really rely on your portfolio and your hard skill set as opposed to what school you went to. That's also the beauty of coding and software engineering. I think it's a world now where you can freelance and make your own money, create your own platforms and products, and join all these startups that are looking for hungry young talent. That was all. My perspective on Coding Bootcamp, I guess my qualification being I took it, and this is the realization that I had. I hope that you are not struggling and that you have a chance to take it on your own so that you can get over this regret or find another genius software engineer within you. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are finding fulfillment in whatever you guys are doing. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Let's go.